Welcome to the first ever edition of What's Cooking with BurkeLife. I'm Sean, my assistant is Tiffany, and today we're going to show you what's cooking. I'm here with Tiffany, we're at the grocery store, we're getting ready to make a spinach dip, and we're going to show you how we do it. So we have our basket here, and let's show everybody what we have, TT.
Chips.
Chips.
Chips. More chips.
Yeah.
Kitty cat.
Kitty cat.
Cheese.
So here's all the ingredients in the bag, in the basket.
And
Tabasco. But what I'll do is when I get home, I will lay out all the ingredients for you, and I'll show you how to make my famous spinach dip. Yep, there's some spinach.
And these.
Yep. Those are artichokes.
These.
All right, so let's get everything home so we can show everybody how to cook it. Just left the store, and now we have all of our bags of stuff. We're going to load up on our horsey.
Bang! Bad horsey.
Tiffany's horsey, it's the bike. And we're going to ride home, and then we'll cook our spinach dip. We don't normally do this, but we're going down the bay side, which is a little more mellow. But it's really windy today, and sometimes it's hard to ride on the boardwalk on a bike full of groceries and a junior vlogger on the back. So we're heading down the bay side, which is really pretty. It's just not as windy, it's a little more quiet. But it's pretty. It's nice. We're back home and we're ready to cook our spinach dip. I have my helper Tiffany here with me.
And I got my fish back.
And Rocky is back. So we're excited. Anyway, here's the ingredients for the famous spinach dip. All laid out here. We have the Monterey Jack cheese, artichoke quarters, water chestnuts, spinach, cream cheese. I got a sweet onion, and I'll explain why later, and Tabasco sauce. And I like to use the original Tabasco. I've tried other hot sauce flavors, and the Tabasco brand seems to be the best. So what we're going to do is get started here, and I'll walk you through the steps one by one. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get the onions ready. So hold on, we'll be back. Before I do the onion, I forgot to mention that a lot of times the spinach comes frozen. So you want to try to get all the water out of the spinach, otherwise the spinach dip will be watery. So what I do is I put the spinach in the oven, the microwave, and I do a little defrost. And I don't even know how to defrost on this thing, but so let's not defrost. Let's actually just put it in for like a minute. I'm gonna let it kind of take some of the frozenness out of it, and then I'll show you what I do with the spinach. Now that I have the spinach out of the microwave, and by the way, it's a pound, it's a 16-ounce bag of chopped baby spinach. This is something I do just because I like to get all the water out. Is I take a plate and paper towels. So I'm gonna have Tiffany hold the camera here for a second and show you what I'm doing. So I take the spinach out of the bag, just cut the top right off after you microwave, and then I stick it on top of this plate. Are you showing that, TT?
Yep.
Okay. I hope Connor doesn't come through this door, he's gonna hit me. But
it looks like a big mountain. How
like
big
a mountain
it is.
of green.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I've got it now function with the camera. It was actually full of video. So here you go, TT. So we put the paper towel down, and then we put the spinach on top of the paper towel.
Yep.
You get it in there?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you just take the paper towel and you just squish the top of the spinach.
Well, me and Mom, to get the water out, we just take the bag and we make a little hole in it, and then we just squeeze it in the sink.
I've done it both ways. So you can either squeeze it in the sink or take a paper towel and just squeeze all the. You want looking through there? Is it on there, right? All right. Be a good camera person. And you squeeze all the water out of the spinach using the paper towel, and surprisingly, the spinach doesn't stick. So, which is kind of cool. And then just squeeze all the water out. Okay.
It's cool. And now it's a flat mountain.
Yeah. The next thing we're going to do, she's been peeling the onion. You don't have to peel it. What I do is I take a knife and I cut it and I slice it up into little pieces.
It took me like 1 hour to do this.
Right, but I'm going to cut it. So hold the camera again real quick, TT. Got it? Mm-hmm. And then you take a knife. Can you see okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And earlier I talked about using a sweet onion. I like to use a sweet onion because it doesn't burn your eyes as much as a normal onion does, and I can't stand that when my eyes are burning. So.
Like when I was doing it with the other onion, where my eyes are like, felt like I was crying because my eyes are just watering so much.
That's right. So this is how I cut the onion. I just do like this, and I switch it like this.
hand's kind of in the way. So
Okay.
that.
And then I just slice it down like this, and you can see like get little squares of onion, just like that. Okay.
Okay.
Stop it. Okay, now we have our onions all chopped up in little pieces like that.
Actually, they're kind of they're making my eyes watery right now.
A little bit watery, yeah. And then what you do, what I didn't buy at the store, but you also need, is butter. So, yeah, here you go. So take a cube of butter. 1 cube. Okay. You're gonna undo it, unpeel it, turn the stove on.
Mom said I can do this, but I like freaked out, like to turn the thing on.
Yeah.
I freaked out.
All right, so go ahead and put the cube of butter in there.
Okay. It's not really a cube. It's like a rectangle.
It is a rectangle.
Yeah. And like that.
I have this on about medium heat. Okay, then you unwrap all the paper and you drop it on the stove there. And you just kind of let this butter...
My hands.
Yeah, they're all greasy now. Let the butter melt.
Can I move the wooden spoon?
So Tiffany likes to take the wooden spoon and just move the butter around. Try to speed up the process. I might turn the heat on a little hotter just to speed things up and get the butter melted. But be careful with the butter. Don't let it sit without you watching it, because you know you'll start a grease fire in your kitchen. So, and you don't want to burn the butter either, or the onions, and I'll talk about that in a second. Well, sometimes I've left the onions on too long and they get brown because they burn. So you got to be careful with this process. So now that the butter is pretty well melted, you take the onion that you chopped up. Look out, I'm just going to put it on there. Just stand back for a second. And you just dump the onion into the pan, like so. And let the onion cook. And I'll
With the butter.
remember not to let it burn, but just let it get soft. Let the onion get soft in the melting hot butter.
I forgot to cut that part.
Yeah, it looks like there's a piece of skin in there too.
When the onions get brown, it means that like you cook them too much.
Right, so I'm just kind of keep an eye on them. Cook them till they're soft, but not burnt. This process of cooking the onions and making them soft probably takes about 5 to 7 minutes. I turn the heat up to high just to speed up the process, but you could also do it at medium and let them kind of simmer a little longer. But they're just about ready. The butter's boiling, and we're keep it stirring.
It's popping like boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom.
keep it stirring so it doesn't burn, and then we'll do the next step. Now that the onions are pretty soft, we're going to add the cream cheese, and it's just going to be 1 8-ounce, again, not a cube, but a rectangle, right, of cream cheese. So just take the cream cheese out of the foil. Like that. And just drop it right into the boiling butter. And then stir that around. And believe it or not, you're going to melt the cream cheese. Before I started making this spinach dip, I didn't realize that you could melt cream cheese like that, because I've only used cream cheese on bagels. So you can actually melt it down. So stir it around and make sure that all the cream cheese is melted.
When I make this stuff, to get the butter like cooking, I like cut it into little pieces, and I did that, and look how good it cooked now.
It's cooking good.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next step after that's cooking, it's almost ready to go, is I add a can or 2 of artichoke quarters like this. I like artichokes. It's, you know, a spinach artichoke dip.
Me too.
So I will add 3 cans today, and I will also add a can of water chestnuts. So we'll go ahead and add that to the mix. The water chestnuts are just a 5-ounce sliced water chestnuts, and they're already sliced, but you might want to slice them up again to make smaller bits. So I'll put them on the cutting board, and I'll slice them up a little bit more, and I might even add another can of water chestnuts. I like water chestnuts, so I might add the second can too. So I've chopped up 2 cans. Again, I chopped up 2 8-ounce cans. Oh wait, never mind, it's not 5, it's 8-ounce. 8-ounce cans of water chestnuts. There's 2 cans right there. Now I'm going to put the artichokes, and these are 13.75 ounces, I guess. It doesn't matter what brand. these are not really marinated. They're just in water. They're not in the oil like some artichokes, but you can use either or, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to use 3 cans of artichokes. The good thing about these artichokes is that they kind of disintegrate. You don't really have to chop them up, but you can if you want. But as you put them in the mix and stir it around, they kind of fall apart and break apart. But you can also just take a knife and chop them a little bit before you put them in the rest of the butter mix. So here's the big mound of artichoke and water chestnuts.
That's the other big mountain.
Now, you could always go a little less on any of this. I just like a chunky artichoke, water chestnut filled spinach dip. So I add probably more than you should, but it's my recipe and I can do whatever I want to do. Right, Tiffany?
Yep.
Okay, so I've got all this. I got to dump it in the hot boiling pan of butter and cream. All right, so here it all is. Tiffany, go ahead and just start scooping it in there. Careful. Not the most conventional way to do this, but just trying to give you an overall idea on how this works. So the artichokes and the water chestnuts are going into the butter and cream cheese and onion mix that we just made on the stove. As you can see, Tiffany's just kind of stirring it around.
So hard to stir.
It's hard to stir because there's so much stuff in there.
Yeah.
And then here's our spinach over here. I pretty much drained as much of the water out as I could. I'm going to use a few more paper towels and dab it and try to get it, and then we'll dump that into the pan as well. As far as the steps, I always add the spinach last. I mean, it's already ready to go. Doesn't really need to cook all that much. But the rest of the stuff, I like to get this kind of cooked, and then I just dump the spinach in there as one of the last processes. Okay, so I've dried out the spinach pretty good. It could be a little drier, but it's not the end of the world if it's a little bit wet. And then Tiffany's just going to go ahead and dump the spinach into the rest of the mix.
Stick to the plate.
Yeah, and it's funny with spinach, it doesn't look like it's a lot of spinach because it's all squished from squeezing all the water out of it, but it expands.
Yeah.
It'll actually expand in the dip. And so just kind of dump it all into the other mix and let it continue to cook with the rest of the butter and water chestnuts and artichokes and all the other good. All right, believe it or not, we're almost done. There's just a couple more. Hands were so red. So the next step is to add the ingredients into a crock pot. We dump it into a crock pot. Connor's here is my third assistant. And then we have Monterey Jack cheese that we'll dump on top after we put it into the crock pot. And then the last thing, and you can do this now. Actually, I will do it now. Tiffany, you don't like the spicy stuff, right?
No.
So
Don't put it in.
she doesn't want me to put it in, but I'm going to put it in because that's what kind of gives it the extra little flavor. But I'll only. You don't want the Tabasco. I'm going to put a little bit in. So I normally will dump a lot of Tabasco in this, but if you have kids, they may not like it. So just add as needed. Got Connor here to help me with Tabasco. The other cool thing, well, not the cool thing, but one of the reasons to put the Tabasco in while it's cooking is it kind of cooks some of the hotness, I think, out of it, because Tabasco is really hot.
Okay, that's enough. Connor, that's enough.
It's not enough. Put some more in there, Connor. Tiffany, don't worry about it. It'll cook off a lot of it. So I don't know how much to put. That's just going to be to your own preference, because some people like stuff really spicy. You could add the whole bottle or just a few drops, whatever you guys prefer. But we are kind of mixed here because some people like it hot and some people like it not so hot. So you could also use the Tabasco on your own personal individual serving as well. Okay, Tiffany's going to stir this a little more. You don't have to keep stirring it forever because eventually it's going to go in this crock pot, and the crock pot will cook it throughout the day. Now, you know, we have the holidays coming up and there's a lot of parties and functions, and this is something you can bring in a crock pot, and every single time that I bring this, people compliment it. They love it. It's really good. It's not that complicated, and you know, you can talk about it being your secret spinach dip recipe. But we're just about done, ready to go in the crock pot. Connie, you want to help us put in the crock pot? Yeah. Okay, hold on. Tiffany, look out for a second because it's hot. Why don't you film me?
No, I want to film.
All right, let Tiffany film, whatever. So
who knew he could cook?
I'm just going to dump it
Let me film.
into the crock pot like this. Can you let her film just for a second? Yeah. Our assistant's having a temper tantrum. All right, so we're going to dump this into the crock pot. It smells really, really good. Okay.
turn it on.
Okay, so it's in the crock pot. It's steaming. We turn the crock pot on hot. These things get really hot. I eventually end up turning it on warm because if it sits for a few hours, it really cooks it. And then Tiffany, you can add the last ingredient, and that is a 8-ounce bag of Monterey Jack cheese.
All of it?
All of it. Let's dump the whole thing in there. So go ahead and tear off the top. The other thing that I don't like to add, but Christy really loves, is that she likes to add Parmesan cheese as well. I know Connor likes that too. But I'm not a huge Parmesan cheese fan to begin with, so I'm not going to add it to this batch. But if you want to add Parmesan cheese, just layer it around the top of the dip. Just sort of sprinkle some on top, and then mix it in with a spoon. You don't need a whole bag of Parmesan because a little bit goes a long way. Okay, so the cheese is now open. This is fun for the kids to do. Let them just dump the whole bag of cheese on top of the dip. And this actually adds some of the texture to the dip. As you're dipping it on your chip, you'll realize that it has kind of a creamy, and it sticks to the chip. And that's what the Monterey Jack cheese will do, is sort of mellow it out a little bit and give it that.
And it kind of melt too.
Yeah, it melts all in there. So just mix it all in and let the cheese melt in. And then as far as dipping, one of our favorite things to use are the Tostitos Hint of Lime chips.
It's so good.
They're delicious, and the lime flavor tastes really good with the spinach dip. So you might want to use. You could also use Triscuits. We also use the Tostitos Scoops are a good chip to use. But anything really, any kind of chip or cracker tastes great with the spinach dip. Oh, you could also use. You could cool it, the spinach dip, and you could use it for a vegetable tray and use carrots and celery as well. So just to review, you are going to use a bag of chopped spinach, baby spinach, 16 ounces. You're going to use a bag of 8-ounce Monterey Jack cheese. You're going to use either 1 or 2 8-ounce cans of water chestnuts. You're going to use either 2 or 3, this says 13.5 ounce artichoke quarters. You're going to use a square or a rectangle of cream cheese. This is an 8-ounce one. You're going to use a stick of butter and 1 onion. Again, we use the sweet onion. You could use any kind of onion you want. And then finally some Tabasco sauce. And that is your BurkeLife famous spinach dip. Tiffany's still fiercely stirring away over here. We'll let it cook for a little bit, and then we'll come back and share a bite. So the spinach dip has been cooking for a little while, and Tiffany's ready to have her first batch. Go ahead.
It only took like 2 minutes for us to cook it.
Yeah, it can cook for a while. It can stay in the crock pot all day long. So we get a little spinach dip on a spoon here. We'll put it on there, and Tiffany, just go ahead and take a chip and taste it and let us know what you think.
Oh, good.
Delicious. I'm going to try some myself. Get a big artichoke on there. Ooh, I love artichokes. Ready for this?
Give the camera some.
Camera? Okay. Here, camera. So, world famous spinach dip. If you guys decide to use this dip, all the ingredients are going to be down in the comment section or the description.
Pants.
In the pants bar, like Shay says. And if you guys decide to use this and you go somewhere, vlog about it, send me the video and I'll make sure that you get I'll prove it to share on our channel. So go ahead and make the dip, send it or bring it to a party, and make sure you bring your camera and let us know how you like it. And let us know how other people like it too. Share it with the world. Hope you enjoy it. Any questions, just ask me in the comments and I'll try to get to them and answer them.